The low hum of my custom-built PC was usually a comforting sound, the backdrop to late-night coding sessions that had fueled my game development studio for 15 years. But tonight, standing silently in the doorway of our minimalist Austin home office around 2 a.m., the hum felt menacing. Bathed in the cool glow of the monitor sat my wife, Olivia. Her silhouette was tense, fingers flying across my keyboard with a furtive intensity that immediately set off alarms. She thought I was asleep. She thought I was the same predictable, slightly oblivious husband, too absorbed in debugging code to notice the subtle shifts in her behavior over the past year. The increasing obsession with her lifestyle blog's follower count, the constant photo shoots, the expensive collaborations with photographers like Ethan, a guy whose lingering glances I had noticed. The escalating complaints about our boring life, despite living in a multi-million-dollar home she barely contributed to. I'd been scheduled to fly to Zurich in 2 days for critical post-acquisition meetings. My indie game studio, the one I'd poured my life into since college, the one Olivia alternately praised for its potential and mocked for its demanding hours, had been secretly acquired by a global gaming conglomerate 2 weeks ago. The deal, finalized yesterday, put $500 million, $500 million, into offshore trusts only I controlled. Olivia had no idea. I'd planned to tell her after the Zurich meetings, maybe surprise her with that villa in Tuscany we'd dreamed about, back when she still looked at me with something other than impatience. But now, watching her hunched over my machine, clicking rapidly through my personal email, a cold dread snaked up my spine. What was she doing? I stepped quietly into the room. Liv? What's going on? She jumped, whirling around in the expensive ergonomic chair I paid for, her eyes wide with panic before quickly morphing into annoyance. Daniel, you scared me! I couldn't sleep, just checking the weather for your trip. A terrible lie, instantly obvious. I walked slowly towards the desk, my gaze fixed on the screen. My inbox was open, specifically the travel folder. The flight confirmation email for Zurich. Gone. The hotel booking? Gone. Even the backup PDF of my Swiss visa, waiver stored locally, vanished from the recent documents list. I glanced at the browser history, frantic searches for how to permanently delete emails, cancel international flight confirmation. Looking for weather patterns in my trash folder, Olivia, I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. Her face flushed, then hardened into defiance. She leaned back, crossing her arms, the picture of petulant entitlement. Okay, fine. So I deleted a few things. You don't need to go to Zurich anyway. I don't need to go, I repeated, incredulous. These are crucial meetings, Liv. Finalizing the acquisition details. I stopped myself. She didn't know about the sale. Acquisition? She scoffed. Don't be dramatic. It's just your little game company. They can handle it without you for a week. Honestly, Daniel, your timing is terrible. My timing? Yes. My trip, she said, as if it were the most important thing in the world. The influencer retreat in the Maldives? With Ethan? It's non-refundable. I can't exactly cancel just because you have some boring meetings. There it was. Ethan, the photographer. The Maldives. A trip she'd vaguely mentioned as a networking opportunity she might attend if dates worked out. Clearly the dates now worked out because she'd just sabotaged mine. The sheer audacity, the casual cruelty of it stole my breath for a second. She wasn't just cheating, she was actively trying to ground me, to control my movements, to ensure her plans with her lover took precedence. So you deleted my flight confirmations, my hotel booking, potentially my visa information. So you could go to the Maldives with Ethan? I clarified, wanting to hear her admit the full scope of her betrayal. She waved a dismissive hand, already turning back to the computer, perhaps trying to log into my airline accounts next. Don't be such a martyr. It's just a week. Besides, she added, glancing back with that smug smirk I had grown to despise, someone needs to stay home and look after the kids, right? That's what supportive husbands do. Especially. She let her eyes trail over my simple t-shirt and jeans with disdain. The ones who aren't exactly bringing in the big bucks anyway. Think of it as your contribution. Poor husband. The unspoken words hung in the air, thick with her contempt. She still saw me as the struggling indie developer, oblivious to the financial earthquake that had just occurred. She thought she was trapping the provider, the stable but boring foundation for her glamorous life, while she jetted off to paradise. A cold, crystalline calm settled over me. The hurt was there, a deep throb beneath the surface, but it was overshadowed by a profound, almost liberating clarity. The woman I married, the woman I planned to surprise with a life beyond her wildest dreams, didn't exist anymore if she ever truly had. This calculating, contemptuous stranger had taken her place, and she had just handed me the perfect exit ramp. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I simply nodded slowly, letting a look of resigned defeat cross my face. "You're right, Liv," I said, my voice flat. "My mistake. The meetings probably aren't that critical anyway. You go. Have fun in the Maldives." She looked surprised by my easy capitulation, then suspicious, searching my face for sarcasm. Finding none, her expression relaxed into triumphant satisfaction. She'd won. She'd gotten her way, as always. "See?" she said brightly. "Was that so hard? I knew you'd understand." She logged out of my computer, stretched languidly, and headed towards the bedroom. "I need my beauty sleep. Big travel day tomorrow." I waited until the house was completely still, until the only sound was the soft breathing of our 2 children asleep down the hall. Then I moved back to the office. The digital sabotage was annoying, but easily fixable for someone with my tech skills. Cloud backups, secondary email confirmations existed. That wasn't the point. The point was her intent. Her utter lack of respect, her willingness to burn down my commitments for her convenience. I didn't pack much. A duffel bag from the closet, clothes, laptop, essential toiletries. I opened the hidden safe behind the bookshelf, the one installed long ago, its code known only to me. Inside were backup hard drives, essential personal documents, stacks of emergency cash, and the keys to a classic, fully restored Porsche 911. I kept garage off-site, a personal project she knew nothing about. I took what I needed. Before leaving the office, I grabbed a sticky note and a pen. I scribbled a quick message, mimicking the defeated tone I'd used earlier. "Guess I'm staying home. Enjoy your trip. D." I stuck it to the monitor she'd been using, right where she couldn't miss it in the morning. She'd see it, laugh, text Ethan about how easily I'd folded. Let her have her moment of smug victory. It would be short-lived. I walked through the house one last time, the expensive furniture and curated art feeling alienating now. Props on a stage set for a life that was never truly real. I locked the door silently behind me, disabling the code she knew, using only the master override. Maria, our trusted live-in nanny, would be up in a few hours to get the kids ready for their day. They were safe. I got into the sleek, dark Porsche parked a block away, a car whose existence represented a part of me she never knew or cared to know, and pulled out into the pre-dawn stillness. The Austin skyline began to glow in the east as I drove downtown, my mind clear, focused. She thought she had grounded me. She thought she controlled the narrative. She had no idea the game had changed, the real money was on the table, and I was about to rewrite all the rules. Dawn was breaking over Austin as the Porsche glided silently into the underground garage of a sleek downtown high-rise. I bypassed the valet, using a discreet access fob linked to a corporate entity Sam, my business partner, had helped set up years ago. An entity that now technically owned this top-floor penthouse. Cash purchase, no mortgage, minimal paper trail back to me personally. It was initially intended as a high-security bolt hole for sensitive coding work. Now, it was my command center. The penthouse itself was stark, modern, almost intimidatingly luxurious, a world away from the faux bohemian and influencer-curated aesthetic Olivia had imposed on our suburban home. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered panoramic views of the city waking up, but I barely registered them. There was no time for admiration, only action. I didn't unpack, didn't rest. Fueled by adrenaline and stale coffee from a gas station stop, I connected my laptop to the secure high-speed fiber line. The first priority was neutralizing Olivia's access and initiating the legal counteroffensive. My first call via an encrypted app was to Ms. Roth, the sharpest corporate and divorce attorney Sam and I knew. Her calm, professional voice was a welcome anchor. "Daniel? Calling this early. Must be significant." "It is," I said grimly, relaying the events of the past few hours, catching Olivia deleting my travel documents, her mocking dismissal, her departure for the Maldives with Ethan, my own exit from the house. Then I dropped the other shoe. "And Ms. Roth. The acquisition finalized yesterday. $500 million. Olivia has absolutely no idea." A beat of silence on her end, then a low whistle. "Okay," she said, her tone shifting instantly into high gear. "That changes everything, significantly. First, finances. Assume she knows or can guess your passwords for shared accounts. We freeze everything joint immediately. checking, savings, credit cards. I need authorization to contact the banks on your behalf, citing potential unauthorized access and pending marital dissolution. Authorized, I confirmed. What about the house? You mentioned it's owned by the Keystone Holdings, LLC, she asked, referring to the shell company. Perfect. As the sole managing member, you have the authority. Remotely change all digital lock codes, garage access, and alarm systems now. Disable her credentials completely. We'll send formal notice regarding her needing supervised access to retrieve personal belongings later, but immediate lockout is legally defensible given her actions and your departure. Done? I said, already accessing the smart home system through my secure portal while we spoke. Olivia's codes blinked red. Access denied. Good, Ms. Roth continued. Prenup. The infidelity clause is strong, especially with evidence of premeditation for this trip. She walks away with nothing beyond her personal assets. The $500 million is entirely yours. Premarital, separate property to derive from your company established before marriage, secured via offshore trusts, untouchable. Relief washed over me, cold but potent. Now, about evidence. Working on it, I said. Need to contact Ethan's fiancée, and I have security cams at the house. Excellent, Ms. Roth approved. Document everything. Keep communication with Olivia at zero. Let me handle everything legally. I'll start drafting the divorce petition and restraining orders today. My next call was to Sam, my co-founder and friend. He reacted to the news about Olivia with unsurprising anger. About damn time you saw through her. Then immediate practicality when I confirmed the $500 million was secure. Okay, boss, he said. What do you need? Press firewall? Corporate restructuring? Want me to accidentally leak Olivia's Maldives location to a gossip site? I managed a small smile. Just keep the sale quiet for now. Handle any urgent studio business that comes up. And can you verify the Keystone Holdings ownership docs are completely firewalled from anything Olivia might have had access to? Consider it done, Sam assured me. You focus on your end. We got the business covered. The final, most difficult call was to Maria, our nanny. She'd been with us for 4 years. A warm, steady presence for the kids, someone I trusted implicitly, unlike my wife. I explained carefully that there had been a serious, irreconcilable issue between Olivia and me, necessitating my temporary departure for safety and privacy. I emphasized that Olivia was the one traveling unexpectedly, and would not be returning to the house for the foreseeable future. Oh, Mr. Hayes, Maria's voice was filled with concern. The children. They are my absolute priority, Maria, I assured her. Your salary, benefits, everything will now be paid directly from my personal account with a significant bonus for your discretion and loyalty during this difficult time. Maintain their routine. School, activities, everything is normal. Just report any unusual activity at the house. Anyone attempting entry besides scheduled maintenance I approve, and under no circumstances allow Olivia access if she shows up before lawyers arrange it. Can you do that? There was a pause, then her firm reply. Yes, Mr. Hayes, of course. The children will be safe with me. A weight lifted off my chest. The kids were secure. With the immediate legal, financial, and childcare safeguards in place, I leaned back, staring at the Austin skyline. The initial shock and adrenaline were giving way to a cold, hard clarity. Olivia thought she had executed a clever coup, leaving the poor husband behind while she flew off to paradise funded by deceit. She had no idea she'd merely triggered a contingency plan she couldn't even comprehend. The penthouse wasn't just a refuge. It was a war room. The $500 million wasn't just wealth. It was leverage, power, freedom she couldn't touch. The game developers in me saw the board clearly now. The objectives, the resources, the opponent's predictable moves. She had started the game. I intended to finish it with devastating efficiency. My next move? Contact Maya, Ethan's fiancée. It was time to build an alliance. With the immediate financial and logistical safeguards in place, my focus shifted. Olivia and Ethan were currently enjoying cocktails on some Maldivian beach, blissfully unaware their carefully constructed betrayal was already unraveling back in Austin. Their confidence stemmed from my perceived ignorance and powerlessness. It was time to dismantle that assumption, piece by painful piece, and the key to that was Ethan's fiancée, Maya. Finding her wasn't difficult for someone with Ms. Roth's resources. A quick search through social media connections linked to Ethan, cross-referenced with public records, yielded a name, Maya Lin, a graphic designer with her own small studio, and, crucially, a professional contact number. Miss Roth cautioned against involving another potentially volatile party, but I was adamant. Maya deserved to know the truth, and selfishly, I suspected she held keys to doors I couldn't easily access, namely deeper insights into Ethan's, and, by extension, Olivia's planning. I made the call myself from the burner phone, keeping my voice calm, professional. Ms. Lin, my name is Daniel Hayes. I apologize for the unsolicited call, but I believe we need to talk urgently regarding our respective partners, Ethan Reynolds and Olivia Carson. I let the names hang there. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end, followed by a guarded silence. I don't understand, Maya finally said, her voice wary. I have reason to believe, I continued carefully, that Ethan and Olivia are currently together in the Maldives, on a trip financed under false pretenses, while telling both of us entirely different stories. I have proof. I think it's imperative we compare notes, confidentiality assured. Another pause. Longer this time. Then decisively. Where and when? We agreed on a busy but anonymous coffee shop downtown an hour later. I arrived first, choosing a booth near the back, away from the main flow of traffic. Maya arrived exactly on time. She was sharp, put together, with intelligent eyes that held a hint of suspicion, but no immediate hostility. She carried herself with a quiet confidence that impressed me. She clearly wasn't anyone's fool. Mr. Hayes, she said, sliding into the booth opposite me, not offering a handshake. This better be good. Ethan told me he was at a photography workshop in Big Sur. He lied, I stated simply. I slid my burner phone across the table, displaying the first piece of evidence. Not the financial data yet, but something undeniable. It was a photo, time-stamped 2 days ago, taken by the PI Ms. Roth had briefly engaged before I called him off, no longer needing surveillance, just confirmation. It showed Ethan and Olivia, laughing intimately, walking hand-in-hand on a beach, the distinctive turquoise water and overwater bungalows of a high-end Maldivian resort unmistakable in the background. Maya stared at the photo, her face paling slightly, her knuckles whitening as she gripped her coffee cup. She didn't gasp or cry. Instead, her eyes hardened. That explains the weirdly spotty cell service he claimed was due to their remote canyon location, she murmured, more to herself than to me. She looked up, her gaze locking onto mine, direct and assessing. Okay, you have my attention. What else? I quickly outlined the situation. Olivia sabotaging my own planned business trip by deleting digital documents, her mocking dismissal, her immediate departure for the Maldives with Ethan using my planned dates, the fact she believed I was broke and trapped. She thinks I'm stuck here, clueless, while they enjoy paradise, I concluded. She has no idea I recently sold my company for a significant amount. Maya absorbed this, nodding slowly. The Maldives trip. Ethan suddenly had unexpected funds from a last-minute freelance gig to cover his half, she said, disgust clear in her voice. He's been acting weirdly secretive about finances lately, too, changing passwords on shared apps. Her eyes widened slightly. Wait, shared apps ... She pulled out her own phone, her fingers flying across the screen. Ethan and we share cloud storage for project files. He's usually meticulous about his personal folders, but sometimes... She trailed off, tapping rapidly. A moment later, she froze, her face draining of color again. Oh my God. She turned the phone screen towards me. It showed a recently accessed folder, innocuously labeled Trip Planning Backup. Inside were dozens, maybe hundreds of screenshots, texts between Ethan and Olivia, planning the Maldives trip for months, coordinating his Big Sur workshop lie with her Maldives influencer retreat story, discussing how to handle me and Maya, and then the financial details. Don't worry about Dee's Zurich trip, Olivia had texted Ethan 3 weeks ago. Working on a way to ground him. Easier if he thinks he's broke. Perfect, Ethan replied. Just transferred that last client payment to my personal account instead of the joint. He'll never notice. Use his joint card for the flights like we planned. Absolutely, Olivia confirmed. He's too busy playing poor husband coder to check statements. We'll drain what we can while we're gone, blame it on identity theft later. He's so clueless. There were more messages, mocking my work ethic. Little money tree, one read, discussing how they'd manage the fallout when they returned, even speculating about whether Maya would be easy to dump. Receipts for expensive jewelry Ethan had bought, presumably for Olivia, using funds likely diverted from shared accounts with Maya or even mine via Olivia. Hotel confirmations matching the PI photo. It was all there, a detailed blueprint of their deceit, their contempt, their plan to defraud both of us. Maya looked physically ill, but her eyes blazed with cold fury. "That absolute bastard," she whispered. She took a deep, steadying breath. "Okay, what do we do?" "First," I said, pulling out a small decrypted flash drive, "we copy everything. Now before he realizes you might have access and deletes it remotely." We worked quickly, transferring the damning screenshots to texts and receipts onto the drive. The atmosphere in the coffee shop booth felt charged, shifting from two strangers united by betrayal to a tactical alliance forged in righteous anger. "He mentioned draining accounts," Maya said, her voice tight. "Have you frozen yours?" "Everything joint is frozen solid," I confirmed. "My personal funds are secure. He and Olivia have access to nothing from me." "Good," she nodded. "I need to do the same with anything linked to Ethan." She looked at me, a new resolve in her eyes. "He's not getting away with this, Daniel." "Neither is she. I want him to pay." "So do I agreed. "And with this," I tapped the flash drive containing the combined evidence, "they will." I thanked Maya for her courage, for sharing the information. We exchanged secure contact details, agreeing to keep each other informed. As I left the coffee shop, the fire in my gut from the night before had intensified, but it felt cleaner now, focused. Olivia and Ethan thought they were playing a simple game of infidelity. They had no idea they'd just walked into a war, and their opponent wasn't the clueless victim they imagined. And now, thanks to Maya, I had the perfect ammunition. Armed with the explosive contents of the flash drive provided by Maya, the intimate texts, the plotting, the financial scheming between Olivia and Ethan, I felt like an arsenal had just been delivered to my doorstep. Back in the cool sanctuary of the penthouse, I immediately forwarded the encrypted files to Ms. Roth. Her assessment when she called back an hour later was swift and brutal. "This isn't just infidelity, Daniel," she stated, her voice devoid of emotion but carrying significant weight. "This is documented conspiracy to defraud, potential embezzlement from joint accounts, and clear evidence of malicious intent regarding your professional life via the travel sabotage. Maya Lin is a godsend. Her evidence elevates this from a messy divorce to potential civil and even criminal exposure for both Ms. Carson and Mr. Reynolds." We refined the strategy. Enforcing the prenup was now the least of Olivia's worries. Ms. Roth began drafting amended divorce petitions and outlining potential civil suits against both Olivia and Ethan, seeking damages for financial misconduct and intentional infliction of emotional distress. "We hold the high ground and overwhelming evidence," she advised. "Maintain radio silence. Let them make the next move while we finalize our position." While Ms. Roth prepared the legal onslaught, I turned my attention to the home security footage. I hadn't needed it to confirm the affair, but I suspected it held valuable context. Methodically reviewing the cloud recordings from the weeks leading up to my departure and the night of the digital sabotage, I found exactly what I expected, and worse. There were clips of Ethan visiting the house during afternoons I was supposedly stuck late at the office, likely lies Olivia fed me. They weren't just talking. The body language was intimate, possessive. He moved around my space, our space, with an unnerving familiarity. Then the footage from the early morning hours before Olivia confronted me. Clear video captured by the camera in the office hallway of her sitting at my desk, accessing my email, methodically deleting the Zurich flight and hotel confirmations, then searching for and deleting the local visa waiver PDF file. No ambiguity. No room for excuses about checking the weather. It was deliberate, calculated sabotage, her face illuminated by the monitor's glow, showing focused concentration, not panic or mistake. I saved the time-stamped clip, sending an encrypted copy to Ms. Roth and another to Maya. More ammunition. As the days passed, the silence from my end seemed to amplify the panic on theirs. Though I blocked their numbers, Maya occasionally forwarded me screenshots of increasingly desperate texts Ethan was sending her. Vague apologies, pleased to talk. Claims of misunderstanding, likely mirroring the messages Olivia was failing to get through to me. Then came the predictable financial implosion. Maya got a notification. Ethan attempted a large cash advance on a joint credit card they shared, one she hadn't yet frozen, which was declined due to suspicious activity holds she'd placed after our meeting. Around the same time, I received an automated alert, forwarded from my old email via filters I'd set up, that a charge attempted on our former joint checking account, now frozen with near zero balance, at the Maldives Paradise Resort Overwater Bungalow Bar was declined for insufficient funds. I allowed myself a grim smile. Their tropical paradise, funded by deceit and theft, was turning sour. I pictured them, stranded, cards declined, the luxurious fantasy evaporating under the harsh glare of reality. How long before the recriminations started between them? How long before Ethan's charm wore thin without a steady cash flow? Their panic was a distant, satisfying hum on the other side of the world. Now it was time to turn up the public heat, specifically on Olivia. Her entire persona, her income stream, was built on the curated image of the successful, stylish Austin influencer living an aspirational life. It was time to introduce some reality into that narrative. I contacted Chloe, the local tech and lifestyle reporter who owed me a favor. We met for coffee again, this time me providing carefully selected, anonymized details. Not the raw text Maya found, but enough verifiable information about lavish spending, questionable timelines, and the stark contrast between a certain influencer's online portrayal and recent private difficulties. I focused on the hypocrisy, the appearance versus reality angle, knowing Chloe had a knack for that kind of expose. I gave her leads, suggested sources, disgruntled former collaborators of Olivia's, but kept my direct involvement and the affair itself officially off the record for now. Chloe's initial piece, published a few days later on a popular Austin culture blog, was expertly crafted. Titled Lifestyle Lies, The Cracks Beneath Austin's Filtered Facade, Zrania didn't name Olivia directly, but described a prominent local influencer whose recent unexplained financial setbacks and sudden travel plan changes seemed incongruous with her perpetually sunny online brand. It posed questions about authenticity, about the pressures of maintaining an online image, hitting all the notes guaranteed to set local gossip circles alight. The effect was immediate. Comment sections exploded with speculation. Blind items appeared on other local forums. Olivia's own social media engagement, which I monitored passively via a throwaway account, took a nosedive. Negative comments, previously deleted quickly, now lingered. Brands associated with her likely started getting nervous inquiries. Olivia, presumably back in Austin by now, or scrambling to get back, battered by the financial freeze and now facing the beginnings of a public relations nightmare, must have been frantic. Her carefully constructed world was being attacked on multiple fronts: legal, financial, and now social. I remained silent, invisible, observing from the quiet calm of my penthouse. The architect watching the controlled demolition proceed exactly as planned. Let her scramble. Let her wonder where the attacks were coming from. Let her and Ethan realize the game was far more complex and the opponent far more prepared than they ever imagined. The unraveling had begun. Olivia reappeared in Austin about 5 days after the influencer expose hit the local blogs, sooner than her planned Maldives itinerary, confirming the financial freeze had successfully torpedoed her tropical escape with Ethan. Whether Ethan returned with her, or they imploded somewhere over the Pacific, I didn't know or care. My first indication of her return was a notification from the house security system, repeated failed attempts to access the front door using disabled codes, followed by motion alerts on the porch camera showing her pacing, shouting into her phone, looking increasingly frantic. She couldn't reach me directly. Her number, her family's numbers all blocked, but desperation finds a way. Late that afternoon, an email arrived from an unfamiliar address, subject line, "Urgent. Daniel, please." The message was brief, devolving from demanding to pleading, "Locked out! Card's not working! What did you do? We need to talk. Name a time and place. Please, I'm begging you." Part of me wanted to ignore it, let her stew indefinitely. But another part, the architect needing a clean, definitive closure to this demolished structure, knew a final face-to-face meeting was necessary. Not for reconciliation, but for confirmation. To see, with my own eyes, if she understood the totality of what she had done and what she had lost, and perhaps to deliver the final devastating pieces of information to myself. I replied tersely via the burner email, "Noon tomorrow. Magnolia Cafe on South Congress. Public place. Be there." Magnolia Cafe. Bustling, casual, a place where raised voices would attract unwanted attention, ensuring a degree of civility. She was already there when I arrived, huddled in a booth by the window, nursing a cup of coffee she likely couldn't afford. The contrast to the glamorous influencer I'd seen depart for the Maldives was jarring. Her expensive clothes looked rumpled. Her hair was scraped back messily, her face bare of makeup revealing dark circles under her eyes. She looked exhausted, cornered, stripped of her usual polished confidence. I slid into the seat opposite her, ordering a black coffee from the approaching waitress, keeping my expression neutral. "You look like hell, Olivia," I observed calmly after the waitress left. Her head snapped up, eyes flashing with a mixture of anger and desperation. "You did this!" she hissed, her voice low but trembling. "Locked me out of my own home, froze our accounts. What gives you the right?" "My name on the deed, primarily," I replied evenly. "And the fact that you conspired with your lover to sabotage my work trip so you could fly off with him, likely using funds you didn't rightfully have access to, after attempting to digitally strand me. Did I miss anything?" She flinched at the bluntness, the cold recitation of facts. It wasn't like that. Ethan and I, it was complicated. And that digital stuff? That was a misunderstanding. I was just trying to help you reschedule. The lies felt weak now, reflexive rather than convincing. "Save it, Liv." I cut her off, leaning forward slightly. "Save the performance. I know everything. I know about the planning text Maya Lin found on Ethan's cloud. I know about the secret credit card charges for his gifts to you. I have the security footage of you deleting my travel confirmations from my computer at 2 a.m. And I know about the mocking little comments. Poor husband, clueless, money tree." Each point landed like a physical blow. Her face went from pale to ashen. Her attempts at indignation dissolved in a stunned silence. She stared at me, finally seeming to grasp that I wasn't guessing, wasn't just angry, but possessed cold, hard proof. "How?" she whispered. "Does it matter?" I countered. "The point is, the game is over. The one you were playing, anyway." She tried a different tack, tears welling up. Real this time, I thought, born of fear and self-pity. "Daniel, I messed up. I know I did. I was lonely. You were always working. Ethan made me feel seen. But it didn't mean anything. We can fix this, please. Think about the kids. Don't throw away everything we built." "We didn't build this, Olivia," I said, my voice hardening. "For the last few years, I built this. The company, the house, the financial security, while you were busy building a fantasy life online and a secret relationship behind my back. And you didn't just throw it away. You tried to burn it down, starting with my ability to travel, thinking I was trapped and broke." I paused, letting the weight of her actions settle. "You were wrong, about all of it." I leaned back, watching her crumble. "You know, the irony is, I was planning to tell you after Zurich, about the acquisition." "The acquisition?" she repeated blankly, confused. "Yeah," I confirmed casually. "The little game company you found so boring? I sold it 2 weeks ago. Deal finalized the day before you left for the Maldives." I let the number hang in the air. $500 million. Her jaw dropped, literally dropped. Color flooded back into her face, then drained away again, leaving her looking utterly stunned, speechless. The number, the reality of what she didn't know, what she had so spectacularly miscalculated, seemed to short-circuit her brain. All her plans, her mockery, her justifications, predicated on me being the poor husband, vaporized in that instant. 500 million, she stammered. "Net after taxes and Sam's share," I confirmed. "Secured in trusts you have no access to, and never will." I pulled a folded document from my inside jacket pocket. "Which brings us to this." I slid the prenuptial agreement across the table, the one she'd laughed off when we signed it years ago. Clause 7b, infidelity, demonstrated by corroborated evidence, results in complete forfeiture of claims on marital assets beyond originally contributed capital, which in your case was negligible. Ms. Roth, my attorney, has already initiated proceedings based on the mountain of evidence we possess, including your documented affair and your deliberate sabotage of my business travel." She stared at the document, then back at me, comprehension finally dawning, followed swiftly by raw panic. "No, Daniel, you can't. The kids. Our life." "There is no our life anymore, Olivia," I stated flatly. "You made sure of that. You'll get your personal belongings back, whatever wasn't funded by joint accounts you misused. Ms. Roth will be in touch regarding supervised visitation schedules for the children. Beyond that, we have nothing further to discuss. I stood up, pulling a few bills from my wallet and dropping them on the table to cover the coffees. Turns out, I said, looking down at her devastated face one last time, feeling nothing but a vast, cold emptiness where love used to be. Poor husbands have surprising resources when pushed too far. Goodbye, Olivia. I walked out of the diner, leaving her slumped in the booth amidst the wreckage of the life she thought she controlled. I didn't look back. The Austin sun felt warm on my face. The demolition was complete. It was time to start building again. Walking away from the Magnolia Cafe, leaving Olivia sitting numbly amidst the wreckage of her own making, felt like closing the heaviest door of my life. There was no elation, no surge of triumphant revenge, just a profound, weary sense of finality. The intricate structure of our shared past had been demolished down to the studs. The site was clear. The legal wrap-up, handled by Ms. Roth, was swift and uncontested. Faced with irrefutable evidence, zero financial leverage due to the prenup, and her public image already in tatters thanks to Chloe's reporting, Olivia signed the divorce settlement quickly. She walked away with her car, her depleted personal bank account, and supervised visitation rights. The house, the investments, the future she thought she was entitled to. All gone, secured within the legal fortresses I had erected. News of Olivia and Ethan filtered back indirectly over the following months. Their Maldivian paradise had apparently ended in bitter recriminations once the money dried up. Ethan, implicated by association and the evidence Maya possessed, faced his own professional fallout. Photographers rely on reputation, and his was now tainted. Maya rightly ended their engagement and pursued her own legal channels regarding funds he had misappropriated from her. Olivia's influencer career evaporated. Brands dropped her, followers fled, her carefully curated online world collapsing under the weight of reality. Last I heard, she had moved back to her parents' place in suburban Dallas. Her Austin dreams turned to digital dust. Their fate, however, occupied less and less of my mental bandwidth. They were ghosts from a previous level, no longer relevant to the game I was playing now. My focus shifted entirely to rebuilding, not just my life, but something meaningful beyond myself. The first, most crucial project was the foundation in my late mother's name. Working with Marcus, the nonprofit consultant, we established the Eleanor Hayes Initiative, dedicated to funding scholarships and mentorship programs for underprivileged kids wanting to break into game development and tech. Kids like I had been, full of ideas but lacking resources. Pouring the initial $5 million endowment into it, seeing the first program's launch, felt more satisfying than any 9-figure acquisition deal. It was legacy. Real legacy, not the filtered kind Olivia chased. Simultaneously, I dove back into creation. The penthouse, initially a sterile command center, slowly transformed into a creative hub. Sam, my former business partner, eagerly came aboard my new venture. We weren't aiming for another billion-dollar exit. This was different. We began developing Aegis. Not just a game, but an ethical gaming platform focused on transparency, fair play, and community-driven content, a direct counterpoint to the often toxic and exploitative practices prevalent in the industry. The late nights returned, but this time fueled by passion, not just ambition. The code flowed, clean and purposeful. My personal life found a new, quieter rhythm. I finalized the sale of the suburban mansion, purging the last physical connection to Olivia. The penthouse offered freedom, but felt temporary. Eventually, I bought a piece of land out in the hill country, sketching plans for a modest but beautifully designed home, one I would build, grounded in honesty and integrated with the landscape. The kids became my anchor. With custody arrangements finalized smoothly, thanks to Olivia's lack of resources or standing to fight, I focused on providing them stability, honesty, and fun. We took that trip to Italy, exploring Florence and Rome, eating gelato, sketching in sun-drenched piazzas. I talked to them simply about the changes, focusing on reassurance rather than blame. They were resilient, adapting with the innocent pragmatism of children. I reconnected with my brother, Ben, and my old friend, Alex. Apologies were made for the distance Olivia had created. We went camping, caught ball games, rebuilt the easy camaraderie that had been missing for years. My support system, ignored for too long, was solidifying again. Almost exactly a year after walking out of Elysian, I found myself on stage at SSSW Gaming in Austin, the energy of the crowd electric. Aegis was launching, and the industry buzz was significant. I spoke not just about the platform's features, but about its philosophy. about building sustainable, ethical ecosystems in the tech world. The response was overwhelming. After the presentation, amidst the congratulations and investor inquiries, a woman approached me, bypassing the small crowd. Sharp eyes, confident stance, holding a tablet displaying intricate UI designs. Daniel Hayes. Sophia Kaspar. Your Aegis platform. The ethical framework is fascinating, but your data integrity model needs work. Her directness, the immediate jump into substantive critique rather than empty praise, caught me off guard and intrigued me. Oh yeah? I smiled, genuinely interested. Show me! We ended up talking for an hour, moving off to a quieter corner, sketching ideas on a napkin, debating code structures and user trust. Sophia was brilliant, a rising star in UX design with her own small startup. There was an easy rapport, a shared language of building things that mattered. No pretense, no hidden agendas, just two professionals connecting over shared passions. When we exchanged contact info, it felt different from any interaction I'd had in years. Not a transaction, not a performance, just potential. Later that night, standing on my hotel balcony overlooking the Austin skyline, I reflected on the journey. The betrayal still left a scar, a permanent reminder of the fragility of trust. The revenge, while necessary for self-preservation and justice, hadn't brought pure joy, but a quiet, grim satisfaction followed by a surprising emptiness. It was the rebuilding, the foundation, the new company, the relationships with my kids, my brother, my friends, even the potential spark with Sophia, that truly filled the void. Olivia had tried to burn down my world, thinking she was destroying a poor husband's small life. She never understood the scale of the game nor the resources I held. More importantly, she never understood that true wealth wasn't just the money, it was the resilience, the integrity, the ability to build something real and lasting from the ashes. She had played her hand and lost spectacularly. I had simply refused to fold, redesigned the game, and dealt myself a new hand, one based entirely on my own terms. The future wasn't a guaranteed win, but for the first time in a long time I felt ready to play.